ekam aksharam hrudi nirantaram bhasate swayam likyate katham. Hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahma matram yaham aham iti sakshat atmarupena bhati hrudi vishamanasasvam chinvata majjata panachalanarodha atmanishto deham ranmayavat jadatmakam aham buddhirna tasyastyato maham tattata bhavashukti samaye siddhatma sadbhavatah koham bhayuta udo varadhiya drishtatmanishtatma soham spurtitaya arunachala shivaha purno vibhati swayam soham spurtitaya arunachala shivaha purno vibhati swayam. Namo Ramana. In this, the Thursday satsang, I am standing in for Dilipji, whose practice it has been to read from Bhagavan's Upadesham for 20 minutes, then sit for Atma Ucharam for 20 minutes, and then our President, Shardaka, will give a talk for the rest of the satsang, and Revatima will conclude by chanting Apara Satchit Sukhavari Hashi. We begin the satsang with a 20-minute reading from talks till 7:20. I'm taking talk 472, 15th March 1938, talk 472. A large group of Punjabis arrived here in a pilgrim special. They came to the Ramanacentre at about 8:45 and sat quiet for a long time. At about 9:20, one of them said, Your reputation has spread in Punjab. We have traveled a long distance to have your darshan. Kindly tell us something by way of instruction. Your reputation has spread in the Punjab. We have traveled a long distance to have your darshan. Kindly tell us something by way of instruction. There was no oral reply. Shri Bhagavan smiled and gazed on. After some time, the visitor asked, which is the best, the yoga, the bhakti, or the jnana path? Still, Shri Bhagavan smiled and gazed as before. Shri Bhagavan left the hall for a few minutes. The visitors began to disperse. Still, a sprinkling of them continued to sit in the hall. A long-standing disciple told the visitor that Shri Bhagavan had replied to his questions by his silence, which was even more eloquent than words. After Shri Bhagavan returned, the visitor began to speak a little. In the course of his speech, he asked, devotee, these are the visitors from Punjab, it is all right for those who believe in God. Others ask, is there a God? Maharishi, are you there? So, in Bhagavan's teachings, one is required to hold the direct experience of knowledge of one's own existence and take it to the source. So, it includes even atheists, which the question is referring to. Some of them don't believe in God. What to do? So Bhagavan is saying, I am only saying, do you exist? Are you there? Devotee, quite so. That is the question. I see before my eyes a battalion of sepoys passing. Therefore I am. The world must have been created by God. How shall I see the Creator? So his existence also, he is extracting from the act of seeing a battalion of sepoys passing in front. Bhagavan, see yourself. Who sees this? The problem is solved. So Bhagavan takes him to the root again, saying that it is not necessary for you to see these sepoys and then say that as an inference you must exist. You can directly know that you exist. See yourself who sees these and the problem is solved. Devotee, is it to sit silent or to read sacred books or to concentrate the mind? Bhakti helps concentration. People fall at the feet of the Bhakta. If it does not happen, he feels disappointed and his Bhakti fades. So the devotee is talking of some experience that people fall at the feet of Bhakta who has now concentrated and therefore he is feeling good about it. But if they don't fall, there is disappointment. Bhagavan, the longing for happiness never fades. That is bhakti. So Bhagavan says that it is not the longing for some namaskaras or some praise or some nice words appreciative of the person sharing. It is not these things that the Bhakta who is sharing Bhagavan's teachings should look for. he should, as a bhakta, he should look for the happiness, the real happiness, which is never fading. He should not look for other accolades, even while sharing the teachings, not even the namaskaras or the appreciation. Devotee, how shall I get it quicker? Suppose I concentrate 2 hours today. If I try to lengthen the period next day, I fall asleep because I get tired of the job. So this is another regular question that many of us get during sadhana. How much more longer should I do? Who am I? I seem to be doing indefinitely. No answer is coming. So how shall I get it quicker? The frustration is there. Suppose I concentrate for 2 hours today, then tomorrow I try slightly more. I am tired and I go off to sleep. Bhagavan, you do not get tired in sleep. The same person is now present here. Why should you be tired now? Because your mind is restless and wanders. It gets tired and not you. So now the sadhana has some effort. Therefore it gets tired. And one should be ready for that. One should be ready for the tiredness and not feel that why I am not reaching. Then as soon as the energy is recouped, one can start again. That is the play of the gunas, says Bhagavan. There will be periods of sattva where the sadhana is going on very easily and nicely. There will be periods of rajas when the movement of the mind will be fast and may disturb. There will be tamas when we will feel dull. But when we are ready for the play of the gunas, then Bhagavan says, make the best use of sattva and manage your sadhanas during rajas and tamas. Devotee, I am a businessman. How shall I get on with business and get peace of mind also? Bhagavan, this is also a thought. Give up this thought also and remain as your true self. So, what actions will be performed through the body in future, both the body and future being non-self, why do you take it on in the present moment? Let others, if they want, join those events and say he is a householder, he is a businessman, he is a teacher, he is a lawyer. But why should you connect? You only inquire into the self. When such doubt comes, how will I be able to do business as well as abide in the self? Then that is a thought, isn't it? Somebody had asked, if I do, who am I? Will I go and settle down in the right side of the chest where this Purana is said to be? Now that is also a thought, isn't it? That Bhagavan has said something and we have made a thought out of it. Now the best course is to inquire that out. That the right side of the chest inside me is also a thought. For whom is this thought is better than the focus or the imagination that the right side we will abide in the self. So this I am a businessman, how shall I get on with business and get peace of mind also? We should trust the self. If the self wants us to do a certain, if the body is to be put through certain course of actions which can be added together and called as businessmen, let it be so. Why should we add up? The ego need not add it up. The ego should only abide in the ocean. It is not necessary to connect the waves. The waves are the actions. If you connect some of the waves, you will feel you are a lawyer. You are a teacher of mathematics. you are a businessman. Why should we connect that? Our job is only to be with the ocean, be with Bhagavan. So I'll read that again. I am a businessman. How shall I get on with business and get peace of mind also? First thing is to know that this projection into the future is also a thought. And this is also a thought. Give up this thought also and remain as your true self, devotee. It is said, do your duty without any expectation of results. Do your duty without any expectation of results. How shall I get that frame of mind? So the Karma Yoga frame of mind, how will I get? Bhagavan. You need not aspire for or get any new state. Get rid of your present thoughts, that is all. So the Karma Yoga method of letting go of the results, that is also a thought which was helpful in practicing Karma Yoga. But in Atma Vichara, that thought is also not required. One has to only abide in the who wants to follow Karma Yoga, who wants to let go of results but hold on to what is work. So that should be the question. We leave it to the self to make use of the instruments in the way it wants. You need not aspire for any new state. Get rid of your present thoughts. That is all. Devotee, how shall I get the bhakti necessary for it? So from karma, he has moved to bhakti. How shall I get the bhakti necessary to let go of thoughts? Bhagavan, it is bhakti to get rid of thoughts which are only alien to you, the self. It is bhakti to get rid of thoughts which are only alien to you, the self. So it is self-attention. It is the love of the self that gives us the energy to let go of the non-self, the bhakti towards the self. Bhagavan has said that self is paramartha and that is where one has to live. That is the permanent home where one has to live, and that is what we are. Therefore, the love of the self gives you enough Shakti to let go of the thoughts. So, with that love of the self, which is Bhagavan's grace, let us practice the letting go of thoughts, which is karma, bhakti, yoga, and jnana, all at one and the same time. When a thought arises, let us not follow the thought, but get rid of it by asking, for whom is this thought? This thought is for me. Who am I? The love of the self in who am I gives us the strength to let go of thoughts. Let us sit in Atma Vicharam till 7:40. Revatima, you can set the time for us. Nandakumar. I request our President, Dr.Sarada, to give her talk. Nandakumar.
Namo Ramana, sir. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, in this part of the satsang, we are meditating on Bhagavan's teachings as recorded by Ganapati Muni in 18 chapters in the Ramana Gita. We have, by that very grace, completed 7 chapters. The 7th chapter was on self-enquiry. The questioner was Karshni. And the 8th chapter is on the stages of life or ashrama vichara. These are traditionally the 4 ashramas, the brahmacharya ashrama, the grihastha ashrama, the vanaprastha ashrama, and the sannyasa ashrama. The chapter begins. We will look at some 3 or 4 questions together because it is a simple chapter and also it may give us a better idea about the way the questions and the answers of Bhagavan flow. In this chapter, we find that there is no specific question mentioned. The question is referred to in the very first verse, and the rest of the chapter is only consisting of answers from Bhagavan to that question. Karshnereva param prashnam nishamya Bhagavan munihi chaturashramya sambaddham adhikaram anyarupayat brahmachari grihivapi vanaprasthothava yatihi nari va vrishalo vapi pakko brahma vicharayet sopanavat param praptum bhavishyatyaashramakramaha atyantapakva chittasya kramapeksha na vidyate gataye loka karyanam adishantyashramakramam ashramatraya dharmanam na jnana pratikulata sannyaso nirmalam jnanam na kashayo na mundanam pratibadhaka bahulya varanayashramo mataha. These are the first 5 verses of chapter 8. I shall read the English translation by Sri A.R. Natarajan. In reply to another question by Karshni, Bhagavan explained the duties of the 4 stages of life. This is the first verse. That means Karshni had already asked a question about 4 stages of life. The first few questions, the questions in the earlier chapter pertain to self-enquiry and directly related to self-enquiry. So this has been divided into another chapter by Muni. And Bhagavan's answers are as follows. A bachelor, a householder, a forest dweller, a sannyasi, a woman, or a person outside caste may inquire into Brahman if ripe. So the question may have pertained to who is fit among these holders of the different ashramas or stages in life, and Bhagavan has expanded the answer as we can dwell on. Then Bhagavan goes on to say, the stages are ladders for reaching the supreme. They do not apply to one with a mature mind. It is for smooth working of the affairs of the world that these stages in life have been prescribed. The first 3 stages do not stand in the way of knowledge. Sannyasa, true renunciation, is pure knowledge. It is not the ochre robe or a shaven head. However, this stage is intended to ward off obstacles to knowledge. This is the first half. So, in answer to Karshni's question, the first reply which Bhagavan gives is Brahmachari grihivapi vanaprasthothava yatihi. One may be a brahmachari, one may be a householder, one may be a vanaprastha, or one may be a sannyasi, or nariva vrishalo vapi. One may be a woman, or one may not belong to any of the definition of the castes. Pakko, if one is ripe for it, Brahma vicharayet. So Bhagavan says that self-enquiry is open to everyone. Obviously, this gives us the understanding that these 4 stages of life are prescribed only for the caste men. Men belonging to certain castes are to follow this prescription of the 4 stages. These stages do not apply to a woman generally in that time period, apparently. So Bhagavan is including that it does not matter. That means does not matter to which caste or creed one belongs. It does not matter to what gender one belongs. Self-enquiry is open to all. Who are ripe, Bhagavan says. Who is ripe? One who is attracted to self-enquiry is ripe for it. Because one who has been pulled to self-enquiry has been pulled by the grace of Bhagavan alone to the self-enquiry in the ripeness of time. So, in the ripeness of time means they are ready to pursue. So, there need not be any question, am I ready to follow self-enquiry? Am I ripe enough to follow self-enquiry? Is it all right for me to follow self-enquiry if I am in any one of these stages of life? Today, in the first half, we had a manana on, if I am a businessman, can I pursue self-enquiry? So whether I am a businessman or I am completely given to sadhana, whether I am a householder or a brahmachari or a sannyasi or a vanaprastha, it does not make any difference. What is required is the ripeness. And already in the earlier chapter, Bhagavan has said, he has defined ripeness as a distaste for objects, disinterest in objective experiences, and detachment from the body, non-interest in the body, in the bodily experiences, in the sense experiences, and in all objects as a whole. When one begins to feel distaste for these, Bhagavan says one is ready for self-enquiry. It is not that one cannot pursue self-enquiry when one is still interested in various objects. But the thought of self-enquiry will not arise. The thought of self-enquiry arises in us only because we feel, oh, all this is not true. This is passing. This is transient. This cannot give me the joy that I am seeking. I am, as Sadhu Om Swami in one of his songs says, Perasai Patten, Oliye Kana Perasai Patten. I am greedy for the light. I am greedy for that joy which does not come down by even the minutest bit, even for a second, in which there is no time frame at all, which transcends the time frame. It is not a joy of this moment. It is not the joy of yesterday. It is not the joy we are looking forward to. When we are greedy for that, and we recognize that it is not possible to experience that through any of the sense experiences. It is not possible to experience that through the mind, through thoughts, because if we were to experience it through thoughts, we should have been the happiest people in the world, because we are all the time having thoughts running in our head. Obviously, these thoughts have not been able to give us the joy that we are seeking. So when we realize this, then we feel at least intermittently, says Bhagavan. Actually, in his Upadesha too, when a devotee called Seshagiri Iyer, who later took the pen name Ramanadasa Sadananda, Bhagavan says, at least intermittently, if not continuously, your mind should go back to the source. You should inquire for whom is this. Of course, to Humphreys, he says, try to do this constantly. Try to do this continuously. Do not keep your attention on objects. on what is seen. Do not keep your attention even on the process of seeing, but only on that which sees. So when one has the ripeness for this, when one's mind is drawn towards the self through bhakti for the self, as Nandakumar ji was saying, explaining that talk by Bhagavan, when one is drawn to the self, it does not matter what one's external circumstance is. This is what Bhagavan is categorically stating. Does not matter. Why any of these? Bhagavan has, of course, shown us that even a human body is not required to experience that truth, let alone be in any stage of life. So here, of course, with reference probably to the questioner, he says there are no constraints with reference to the varna, the ashramas of life, which are four, which are the brahmacharya, the grahastha, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasa. One may inquire into the truth at any stage of life, or even if one is not in any of these prescribed stages, one may inquire into the truth. Then Bhagavan goes on to say, Sopanavat param praptum. Actually, the societal laws have been formed in such a way as to facilitate the experience of the Supreme alone. When I was a student doing my doctoral research, I went a little into a book by one Nandakumar Swami. It is called Dance of Shiva, about the Indian ethos, where he says how the entire structure of society has been formed, including the varnashrama dharma and the ashrama dharma, the stages of life, only to facilitate atma jnana, only to facilitate detachment. He gives an example. He says, say, if you are following the trade which your parents have been following, if your father has been a tailor, and you do not think at all about it and you continue the tradition of being a tailor and your son continues, what happens is that part of your energy which you are giving to the choices of shall I be a tailor or shall I be a cobbler or shall I be something else, that part of the mind is not used at all. It is just set aside. You accept, you surrender, and you just continue the job as a given and with full sense of dedication to it. So it is meant to cultivate detachment. In our college days, I had a lecturer. She used to say, we used to have a class called the moral science class. Or now later it became a value education class, and I think it disappeared from the syllabus perhaps. But we had a moral science class in college. And our lecturer, she said, the girls, ours was a girls' college. She said the girls nowadays, they think a lot about getting a compatible partner. In our days, we never thought about it. For us, we went into marriage as told by our parents, and we took it as a given, she said. Then she said, how much of energy we saved in life because of that. How much of energy we saved because we never thought about that part of it. We just focused on so many other things, and that helped us to have a lot of time and energy left for spiritual practices. She was a deeply spiritual lady. So she said, why waste time and energy on making choices? She said, when we take this to the even further point, Nandakumar ji often tells us, we do not even make a choice between, and that we were meditating on in the Atma Bodham class, that we do not even make a choice between right and wrong, good and bad, like and dislike. We do not make any such choices. So here Bhagavan says that all these are meant to be steps. They are already, there is a framework made. Okay, if you go through these stages in life, it is easy to attain, because most of the people may want to get into grahastha. They may want to do certain things. So it is easy. It's already planned for you. Life is already planned. You can go according to this. But it is not a must. They do not apply to one with a mature mind, says Bhagavan. Sopanavat param praptum bhavishyathyashrama kramaha atyanta pakvachittasya kramapeksha na vidyate. It does not apply. So one does not have to worry. Do I necessarily have to go through these stages? Do I not have to go through these stages? One need not worry. The most important thing is to pay attention to the self. Everything is meant only to help us. Everything is designed by the Supreme. See, the Supreme only has designed everything, including the society in which we may be living today. So everything in each one of our lives is designed by the Supreme. Bhagavan says the Guru pulls from within and pushes from without by creating a circumstance that is typically favorable for every one of us to be able to turn our mind inward. Given whatever our destiny is, within the framework of that destiny, Bhagavan creates for us a best atmosphere to turn within. Then Bhagavan goes on to talk about the two ashramas, the Vanaprastha ashrama and the Sannyasa ashrama. Vanaprastha ashrama, he says that, again he says, it is for the smooth working of the affairs of the world that these stages have been prescribed. Not only for the spiritual upliftment, there is a world order. So in this world order, if everybody follows whatever their prescribed duties are, it is very simple. Like if we look at the other creatures, if we look at ants, if we look at bees, if you look at the bees, there are 4 types of bees. There are the worker bees, there are the cleaner bees, then there is only one queen bee. So they all do whatever their job is. They do not question, why should I be a worker and why should I not be a cleaner, etc. So they go about doing it, and then we find this society of the beehive so beautiful, so perfect in every way. So if the society should be comfortable, and in a later chapter, chapter 10, Bhagavan will tell us how the society is to function in a best manner, how detachment is most important for the good functioning of society as well. Here he is just indicating that these laws, wherever they have been made, are for the good of society, and they are also for the good of the individual by and large. But if one finds that one has no necessity for the society's laws or for any of these things, because one is totally drawn only to the self, then there is no need to worry about anything else. Because Bhagavan has already told us in chapter 3 that the paramount duty is abidance in the self. That is the highest duty. There is no greater duty than that. Then Bhagavan says, in case one happens to be in any of these stages of life, that is, if one has to be is a brahmachari, or if one is a grahastha, or if one happens to be a vanaprastha, one need not worry. These stages do not stand in the way of knowledge. Oh, because I am a grahastha, will I not get self-knowledge? No. Because I am only a brahmachari right now, I have not yet taken sannyasa, will I not get self-knowledge? No. If I am a vanaprastha, I have renounced, but I have not yet taken sannyasa, will I not get self-knowledge? No. This is the point which Bhagavan actually gives us a clue towards in the story of Chudala and Shikidwaja from Yoga Vashishta, where he says that Chudala told her king, you need not renounce anything. Self-knowledge is here and now. But the king had to renounce, had to go through all the austerities, and finally had to be guided again by his wife in another form to understand this truth that the self is ever available. Therefore, Bhagavan says, sannyasa is pure knowledge. Sannyasam nirmalam jnanam. One who is abiding in jnana is a true sannyasi. It is not one who wears an ochre robe, one who has shaven his head. But these are also prescribed in order to help. That is external renunciation of anything. It does not necessarily mean taking sannyasa. If we drop something, if we drop a particular thought, Bhagavan says, it goes a long way in our sadhana. So renunciation, tyagena eke amritatvam manashu. So renunciation is important as a sadhana. That's what Bhagavan says. We must look at renunciation as a sadhana. And Bhagavan teaches us the highest renunciation by asking us to renounce every thought as it rises, even before it really takes shape. Renounce it through the question, for whom and who am I, says Bhagavan, and that will lead us to that Nirmalam Jnanam. It will take us, it is a promise of Nirmalam Jnanam. Self-enquiry is that renunciation which leads us to that pure jnana which Bhagavan is mentioning over here with reference to the stages of life. The key point for us in this is that we need not worry about external circumstances. They are not in any way obstacles to our knowledge. If at all, we may take the support which is available in the circumstances, whatever support is available. For each one of us, different supports will be available. We can take those supports and take that help provided by the Supreme to turn within, to make it conducive to turn with it. That is His great grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
May I request Revatima to conclude the satsang with the chanting. Namo Ramana.
अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि नमो रमण
Namo
Namo Ramana.